last 3 years it was disappointing, frustrating because I couldn't do what I wanted to do on the football pitch, and the managers and the teams that were starting to put together were a million miles away from what I'd come into. To be, a small part in 150 years is special for me. To be associated with such a brilliant football club, I think, great memories.
Woan engineers the shooting opportunity and delivers the shot.
Barton hasn't dealt with it. Campbell leaving it to Woan. Oh, that's magnificent! Absolutely magnificent! What a turnaround! All done by Woan.
The story kind of unfolded. I was at Runcorn, had a good season. Went down to Bournemouth and spoke to Bournemouth and shook Harry Redknapp's hand, said I was going to do the deal. I went back to work to serve my notice for a couple of weeks. That was it, all done. Leaving work, got a phone call on the Thursday when I was leaving on the Friday, and it was my manager at Runcorn saying, "Do you want to come speak to Forest?" I said, shook hands with Bournemouth, fees done. At the time, I think Bournemouth were League Two. Forest were, I think they were sitting third in the old League One. So I said, of course, I'll go and speak to them. So I spoke to Alan Hill and Ron Fenton at Norwich, Victoria's ground, and my dad came with me. What could I say? Absolutely no-brainer for me, absolutely no-brainer. The only downside was when I came back to the house, I had to get my dad to phone Harry to say, deal's off.
So obviously the prospect of moving to Forest, the club in general, was a good one for you, but what about the squad that was in place at the time when you arrived there? Was there anybody in particular that you looked up to and were looking forward to working with day to day?
Well, it was Stuart Pearce and Des Walker at the time. They were the lads working day in, day out with Stuart Pearce, Des Walker. It was Gary Charles was there was Gary Parker, Roy Keane had just come in, Nigel Clough, just a wealth of talent. It was coming from training Tuesday, Thursdays, playing Saturday, to every day working at that level. Absolutely amazing experience.
Nottingham Forest, they make one change to the side, beaten 3-1 at home by Manchester City. On Saturday, Gary Crosby replacing Gaynor. Forest are again without their England midfield star Steve Hodge. He's out with a calf injury, and Scottish under-21 international Terry Wilson continues to deputise.
Ironically, my dad was an ex-pro and he made his debut playing for Norwich at Carrow Road. Same, exact, identical age, 20, 21 years of age. So it was kind of ironic. My dad wasn't there because Brian Clough only told me on the day that I was going to be on the bench because there was only 2 subs back then. I think there was 15, 16 that travelled. And it was, on the way to the ground, you're on the bench. So it was like, oh my God, brilliant. I think we got the 4th goal or something, and he put me on. I probably got about 20 minutes. And it was in the days when there was no mobile phones. So I remember walking off the pitch thinking, I've got to phone my dad. Because it wasn't on telly. You wouldn't have known how they played. So I found a payphone before he went back into the change room, phoned my dad, said I've just got 20 minutes to. Brilliant, great memory.
Nottingham Forest in a position from their early work to really relax and enjoy themselves in the sunshine. Crosby seeing plenty of the ball and really teasing Sinclair. It's another one. And Woan gets his name on the score sheet.
2 minutes from time, Forest wrap it up with a 5th. Lovely overlap from Brian Laws. Unselfish cross as well, and Woan drills it in. 17 goals for Forest in the last 3 games.
Off the head of Nichols, a Woan. Good effort. Oh, what a splendid goal, Woan! And the Scouser has scored a significant goal against the team he used to support.
I was so surprised. It was the whole build-up to the game. It was probably the Brian Clough way that we went down and stayed at the hotel and we trained on the Friday. And, you know, the whole build-up was after the season finished, like in the old days, it was season's done. We looked towards the cup final. We not even mentioned by the team. We never talked about the team. We didn't do any shape. We didn't do anything. We trained on the Friday before the game, and nothing mentioned. We get on the team bus to go back to the hotel. Nothing mentioned to the team, and then Liam O'Kane stuck his head through to the kid on the bus, said, "Skip, I need a quick word." He comes down. 5 minutes later, Piercy comes back and reads the team out. You know, nothing mentioned, and it was hilarious. It was like, yeah, I knew we didn't like you. You're not on the bench. I knew we didn't like that. Was obvious. Yeah, this is the midfield. Yeah, I'm surprised you're not playing. So that's where I got told for the FA Cup final. So I was surprised because he'd left Steve Hodge out and played me, and I thought, as well as I thought I'd done in that little spell, I thought he'd go with experience and play Steve Hodge. But he left Steve Hodge on the bench for me, which was, you know, ex-England international, I think he was. So it was a brilliant pat in the back for me. But so I was a little bit surprised he actually started me. But absolutely delighted, don't get me wrong. But a bit of a surprise he left Hodge on the bench that day.
Now, Gaza was one of the main focal points of that, obviously leading up to it, because he was in such good form and he was, you know, so well known. But you know, the way he conducted himself early doors, 2 horrendous tackles, and then to go off injured. You know.
I remember standing in the tunnel, waiting for the teams to go out, and Gascoigne was about 2 or 3 spaces down from me, and he could not control himself. He was just so hyped up and excited. I mean, bouncing, shouting, bouncing a ball, and he just couldn't calm himself. You could see, like, the Forest way was always just to be standing there, no talking. We got a job to do. There was no like, come on lads, none of that. It was just like, know what we're doing, that's fine. But he was just out of control, you know. And looking back in hindsight, it doesn't surprise you the way the game unfolded. You know, he got booked rightly against Gary Parker with a chest dive, which would have been a sending off nowadays. And then the tackle on Gary Charles that he actually hurt his knee on, he should have been sent off anyway. So is it Roger Milford, the referee that day? I think it was only that Gascoigne was so badly hurt that he should have been sent off. It was a second buckable offence. He should have gone off. We're 1-0 up. They're down to 10 men. It would have been a different game.
Oh, it's in! What a splendid shot by the Forest captain to give Brian Clough's team the lead in the cup final. But here's Paul Allen and Paul Stewart with a chance for Spurs. And the equaliser! Paul Stewart scores and Spurs are back in the cup final. In goes Stewart. Oh, a chance at the far side, and it's in! An own goal, I think.
I think it was Des Walker actually got the last touch.
It went in off a Forest player, and Spurs are in the lead for the first time in this cup final. Here's Walsh, and there it is. Tottenham Hotspur have won the FA Cup for a record 8th time, and Brian Clough has failed at his 34th attempt.
What was it like in the dressing room afterwards, particularly Clough's reaction? Because obviously this is a manager who's used to winning and being successful.
You know, there's just obvious disappointment. We had a lot of senior internationals in the team, and it was like any losing dressing room. It's never a good place to be. But no, he didn't come in and rant and rave or do anything. It was just a quiet dressing room, just of disappointment, because we had the game in the grasp of our hands, really. We without playing particularly well, we got ourselves 1-0 up, saved a penalty, 1-0 at half-time, thinking, OK, but whether that's strong, we haven't played well, we can do an awful lot better than that. And still, second half didn't really hit the heights we should have. And they got the equaliser, which was justified, and then, you know, obviously Desi's misfortune in extra time has given them the cup, which, you know, it would have been fantastic to look back, not just winning a cup final, which would have been brilliant on a personal note, but for the whole club just to have had that to fall back on. Yeah, we won the FA Cup in 91, 92. You know, that would have been brilliant to add to, obviously, the European days. But to say, yeah, we've won things, and as a team, just have that. Yeah, we won that. When you bump into Piercy now, or Stoney, or Keeney, or anyone, say, yeah, cup final. We won the cup final together. You know, I think it means more to you now than obviously you realise when you're playing it.
So it still hurts? No.
Definitely, yeah, definitely, yeah. You're that close to winning an FA Cup final. Absolutely. It was my first taste of relegation. I think you could feel it. It wasn't a good feeling within the camp. You could feel that a few players were backing off, thinking, "Oh, I might be off if we get relegated. I could be off." You know, and it was a disjointed feel. It wasn't a coming together of a real strong group of lads thinking, "No, we're going to fight and have a right good go." It became very disjointed, and it wasn't a happy camp. You know, it was a feel to it. You can't put your finger on it, but you know, you can just sense this ain't right.
Clough's retirement came at the end of that season, the relegation season. Was that expected among the players?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a travesty for someone of his quality and his excellence and all he'd done for the game to end on a relegation. I know it's probably been said 1,000 times, but it was a real sad end to an amazing career. You know, to go out in a relegation, it was disappointing just for the whole thing. You know, he's been an amazing manager, so successful, but to go on a relegation was tough as a memory for him and for us. I really enjoyed working for Frank. I think great manager, really good coach, and a good guy. You know, and he had our ups and downs, as you do with most managers, but he played me. You know, and we had a good dialogue, open door policy. Really, really enjoyed working with Frank. That was probably my most successful time, working under Frank and giving me a license to do what I want to do and how I did it. And it was, yeah, really enjoyed it. When I look back at my Forest career, you know, I had 10, 11 years. That little 2-3 year window with Frank was probably the highlight, I think.
That's a good little header onto Woan. Woan engineers the shooting opportunity and delivers the shot.
Collymore, great skills. A chance for Woan. Well, that's not a bad way to wrap up the afternoon.
Here's Phillips. Glover. Woan. 4-0. From a Leicester City point of view, it couldn't have fallen to a worse player. Woan on the left foot, bang, an excellent goal.
I think we finished third in the Premier League and then got into Europe, and it was playing in Europe was the pinnacle, really. I didn't know I was going to enjoy it because it was a knockout stage. I never understood the form. See, the format's changed now, but you know, you work all year, 40-odd league games, then you qualify for Europe, amazing achievement, and then you can go out after the first round. It was knockout straight off the bat. I thought, a little tough. I remember flying out to Malmo in our first game. I'd scored. I think we got beat 2-1, if I remember. And we were flying back, and I was thinking, I want more of this. I really want more of this. But I'm thinking, we're 2-1 down. We play them next week. We could be out the UEFA Cup. That's it, done. That's it. One little experience of it. And luckily, we came back, and I think we won 1-0 at home. So I think Brian Roy scored. I think as a group that galvanised that year, absolutely amazing. You know, and obviously you end up playing the eventual winners, Bayern Munich, in the Olympic Stadium. You know, I was playing non-league football for how many years, and I'm going up against some of the best players in the world at the Olympic Stadium against Bayern Munich. The atmosphere in these stadiums around Europe, but the Forest fans are a different class. They were absolutely top draw. But it was, yeah, you felt like they were thinking, go on. But if you hadn't come up against Bayern Munich, I think the way we used to defend and counter, we had so much pace on the counter with, you know, it was Brian Roy and I think Kev Campbell, and we could defend. We had some real solid defenders, and we could suck them in and score. We just felt we could go up against anyone, but Bayern Munich was just a step too far. We done well at their place. I think we got B2 on, and Chet scored. And we thought we'll get them back to our place and keep them 0-0, see how we go if we get a goal. But I think we conceded a free kick quite early. And then we had to come out and try and get goals. And once we opened up against a team of that quality, they picked us off.
Now, as abandoned matches go, the Spurs FA Cup one is probably one of the highest on the list of English ones, I'd guess. Yeah. What was it like to be involved with that?
Well, we always got a little microclimate, I think, around the Trent. It's either the fog rolling in or Sunday. It was because there was no snow. We arrived for the game, there was nothing. I mean, zero. We remember coming out for the warm-up. It was like, yeah, it's all right. You come out for the game. I'd never seen snow come down. It had to be called off. There was no way. I remember couldn't get your cars out the car park after the game. I've never seen nothing like it, but I've never played in a game like that with weather conditions like it. I remember just getting deep, visually see getting deeper and deeper and thinking, you got to call this, ref. You got to call it. Just, you pass the ball from here to there, the ball stood there, it's about this big by the time it got to there. No, it was amazing weather conditions, but in hindsight, we're happy it did happen because we didn't start very well, and obviously the return leg was a good one personally for me.
Well, they'll miss Stuart Pearce here. This is well within range for him. And I bet he wishes he was out there now having a pot shot at Ian Walker in the Spurs goal. Could be Ian Woan instead. He's facing the camera. And he it is who hits it. And they didn't need Stuart Pearce. 3.5 minutes gone. And Ian Woan has scored a beauty. Walker holds his hands up and says, what can I do about that? And frankly, he's right. There was nothing any goalkeeper could have done about that. Hit with pace, power and accuracy. The wall broke and Walker was given no hope. Woan might fancy having a pop at this. He can get a real curl on the ball from there and does so brilliantly. What a fantastic goal by Ian Woan. 72 minutes gone and Ian Woan produces another magical free kick. Well, I said he'd think about having a pop, but I didn't expect it to be quite as spectacular as that. Tremendous goal, his second of the game from a free kick by Ian Woan. And Forest are deservedly, I think, in the second half level. And even the magnificent Ian Walker couldn't keep that one out. But if Woan had been a Brazilian player scoring a free kick like that, we would have been raving about it for some time to come. They are. I told you Frank Clark smiles occasionally.
You've got to defend well if you're going to get anything out of the game, and with Sheringham and Armstrong up front, but it was just one of those days, really. I scored two free kicks, but I know for a fact that I wouldn't even have been on them if the skipper had been playing. That was the only reason I was taking them.
The second free kick that clinched the replay, arguably the best goal of your career so far.
Oh, it's just one of those that you once in a lifetime. I've tried it a million times on the training ground, and they've ended up in the Trent. But it was, I was a little bit confident after scoring the first, and I thought I'd just give it a bash, and absolutely delighted to see it flying.
What a fantastic goal by Ian Woan.
That kind of summer, I had a real issue with my knee. I had chronic tendonitis in my right knee, understandingly, because I never kicked with my right peg. But because I was so predominantly left side, a lot of the weight when I'm kicking or jumping was going through this patella tendon. I had a real issue, and I was having injection after injection, and it massively limited my exposure on the training pitch, and it definitely affected my performance. And it was, I'm not making excuses at all. I'd all my hands up, but it was a debilitating injury which I was trying to get through and manage. But the way I had to be at maximum fitness to be able to perform, and I was nowhere near that because I just couldn't get on the training pitch. I was not training for 3 days a week, then I'd have a training session, then I'd try and play, and it was a real issue. And it was, once I decided throughout the surgery, the following summer, I didn't kick a ball for 12 months, 14 months. It was real slow rehabilitation, but that season I didn't want. I spoke to the club a few times, and I didn't want to go to press and say I'm carrying this, because I'm not an excuse sort of lad. Just if we can get across, if you cross the white line, you're fit, and that's the way my mind works regarding football. But in hindsight, I should have really stepped back and said, look, I can't do it. But I kind of scrambled through that year, and it was a poor mistake. In hindsight, definitely should have said, no, I've got to get this sorted, and done it earlier, because it hurt me. That year was performance and everything.
Did you get it sorted properly, do you think?
Never came back anywhere near, where it was prior to the injury. In my eyes, I'd have glimpses, but it wasn't right. I think there was 5 people who had the same surgery that summer. I think I was the only one who came back and kind of had some sort of career. It left a real sour taste in my mouth. I'll be perfectly honest. I think the David Platt era, we didn't get on, and it was disappointing to me, because I was there 10, 11 years. I remember playing the last game. I came off the bench with Stockport, I think. And we'd drawn 2-2, and I was thinking, this ain't a Forest team. This is nowhere near what we should be doing. Drawn 2-2. The away end's packed, and we're delivering as a team. It was awful. The football was poor. I got dropped off at the bus at the City ground, and walked out the bus, walked into my car, drove out, and I'm thinking, I remember arriving back home thinking, that's it. I've been there 10, 11 years. I thought, that's my last game. Forest is a huge part of my life. I wasn't asking for fanfares or anything, but I was like, that's it. Stockport 2-2 off the bench. See you later, gone. And I was a little bit bitter, because there was, not bitter, that's the wrong word, never bitter, because football's been brilliant to me, so bitter's definitely not the right word. But I was angry that I didn't get a chance to kind of say goodbye to the fans or do anything. It's been a real bitty 2 years. It would have been a testimonial year. David Platt wouldn't entertain that, so I never got a chance to have a testimonial. So it was a disappointing time. But memories of Nottingham Forest for me will always be high. Joys in my heart for sure. But to come away from it, just in the car, drove away, done. That's it, forgotten. And not to say goodbye to the fans or thank them or anything that way was disappointing, really disappointing.
What was it about Platt that just saw you?
We just didn't get on. It was we fell out early. Actually, it was my firstborn just been born, and I was late for training a couple of times because I hold my hands. I'd overslept because the little one was my first child, so it was tough. So we fell out. He's saying, "Oh, you're not committed to the cause," and all that, which wasn't right, because I love playing football, so I'm always committed to the cause. So he wasn't playing me. He was trying to loan me out. You can't go alone. It was just we just didn't get on. We just didn't get on. So it was, that was just plain to see. And he wanted to go a different direction, which is fine. That's manager's prerogative. I'll never stand in the way of that. But I thought I should have been more of a part of it. And ironically, towards the end of the season, he started playing me again and done pretty well. But nothing at the end of the season. Not a contract offer of any sort. No talk about testimonial. So it was a little bit disappointing the way it all came to an end, but I try and put that to back in my mind, actually, because I've got so many great memories of Forest. So that's kind of the dark side. But when I think about Forest, it's always with a smile on my face, with good people. I think you spend 10 years anywhere in a football club. But I just said it before in one of the questions, that when I think about Forest, I always smile. And I think the friendships and the bond and the fact they still live in the town, it's so special. So I think 150 years is amazing. To be a small part in 150 years is special for me. To be associated with such a brilliant football club, I think great memories. 150 years, I was there for 10 years of it, but I always think fondly, and always, as I said, with a smile on my face, because we had some fun times.